Hello. Wait, this is wrong. This is not right. That's not me. Okay, 1 second. There's something wrong. But I know what the problem is. Give me a second. Yes. No. No, that is not me. That is not me at all. Oh, I know what the problem is. Haha, I got this. Just hit this button over here. And voila. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, technical difficulties. Hello, campers. I'm Daniel Gendon, and I'm here to share with you the story of my family's immigration to the United States of America. However, at first glance, the story may seem boring. We didn't sail to Ellis Island. We didn't swim across the Atlantic. We didn't flee from anywhere, nor were we being pursued. We kind of got in a plane and... That's the sound a plane makes for those of you who are unaware. Anyway, our story may seem boring and regular. However, what makes this story special, at least to me, is that it's a very close to home story for me. It didn't happen to my great grandparents or my grandparents, and my parents' side of the story isn't even the biggest part. This story happened to me. This is my story of immigration, and if you want, and listen to me for a second, I'll tell it. And who knows, maybe you'll even find it interesting, and maybe you'll learn something. Anyway, let's get started. Before we start, a little bit of background. I don't know how familiar some of you are with the Ukrainian economy of the 1990s, but for those of you who don't spend all your free time on Wikipedia, here's a brief overview. In the 1990s, Ukraine was going through a horrible economic crisis. And I mean, this is the whole shebang of the economic crises. Hyperinflation, recession, a drastic drop in GDP, you name it, they had it. And the lowest point in the Ukrainian economy was 1999. So it's not surprising to me that that was the year my parents decided that it was time to seek fortune in another place and move. But this wasn't a move across the street, nor was it a move across town, or a move to a different part of the country. This was a move across the ocean, to the United States of America, a country which I at that point had not even heard of. As you can imagine, to a 6-year-old, the argument you're never gonna see your friends or family again because we need the job and life is hard did not make a lot of sense. What do you mean life is bad here? I have toys, I go to the park, there's the sun in the sky, what could possibly be going wrong? Brr. Also, as you can imagine, a 6-year-old isn't asked about many family decisions. So, in the year 2000, I packed up all my toys into this adorable little doggy backpack. And the day after my 7th birthday, March 25th, we headed to Kyiv International Airport to go to America, where the challenges would just begin. Upon arriving in America, I realized something. Not a lot of people speak Russian here. Most of them speak the English. Which was strange for me because up to that point my English vocabulary consisted of 4 words which were hello, goodbye, crocodile, and dance, which you generally don't use in the same sentence or in day-to-day conversation. However, let's be honest, the world would be a far better place if they were always used in the same sentence. Anyway, my lack of knowledge of the language didn't stop my parents from sending me to regular school 2 weeks after we arrived. By that time, my English vocabulary had grown by 1 sentence. It was the sentence, I don't speak English. That sentence got me through those remaining 2 months of 1st grade. I used it to answer every question out there, from what is your name, to what would you like for lunch, to what time is it right now. However, even though I didn't know English, school wasn't all bad for me. I went to Ukrainian preschool in Ukraine, and that was a very different experience because, for example, in Ukrainian preschool, you sat at desks all day. Your recess was pretty much only 15 minutes long. You sat at desks like this. You raised your hand like this. If you lifted your hand like this and did this, you'd be yelled at. You wouldn't get called on. You got graded, and you got bad grades. You'd get a C for coloring slightly outside the lines, or for writing neatly. And anybody who knows me knows I'm not a neat colorer or writer, so Ukrainian preschool, I got C's a lot. Anyway, when I got to American school, suddenly everything's different. You can raise your hand like this. Most of your day is playtime, recess, or other lovely variations of the word. Everything you do is responding to with, "Oh, that's great, honey. That's awesome. Yeah, keep up the good work. Yeah." And most of your day, you're sitting on a rug and listening to your teacher read to you. You're sitting on a rug, not a desk, on a rug. That was so strange for me. Alright, anyway. So, after I came back from my first day of American school, according to my parents, my words were, "If that's what they call school, I like this place." However, even though I did eventually learn English, my challenges did not end there. Even though I was 8 and I barely knew English, my parents decided that I was not adequately challenged and that it was time for a new challenge. They decided to send me to math school, RSM. In RSM, I did not immediately become the best, or good. I struggled. I was lazy. I didn't pay attention. I did what my parents lovably called counting crows, or unlovably called wasting their money. These are my works. However, through perseverance and eventual effort, I did become good at math. I began to be confident in my intelligence, and I began to love math. Since then, my life story has been connected to RSM and math in oh so many ways. I was the captain of my high school math team. I wrote a college essay which I used was on math. I go to math camp. As for RSM, I spent 10 years there as a student. It was and is my first and only job. And it gave me this camp which I love so much. So, even though I had difficulty, I had conquered another challenge of immigration. The story of my life with immigration has not ended yet, and probably never will. Whenever I go somewhere new and meet a new person, the first thing they ask me is, "Oh, where are you from?" I had a roommate in college who was a very good friend of mine, but who introduced me to people as, "Oh, hi, this is Dan, my Russian roommate." And as you see, I still have a slight accent. However, I would not trade the story of my immigration for the world. It defines who I am. I love Ukraine because it gave me my childhood and my heritage. It makes me who I am. I love America because it's the place I grew up. It's the place I realized who I want to be as a person, and it's also what makes me who I am. I am unique and special because of my story of immigration, and so are each and every one of you. The story of your family's immigration is your story. It's what makes you different from you, and don't forget it or try to hide it, because it's part of your identity. Embrace it. And if you realize that and want to embrace your heritage, then I really have accomplished everything I have set out to accomplish with this video, and I can go now. I don't need to take up any more of your time. So I respectfully sign off and tell you goodbye, campers. That is not the off button.